Okay, so welcome. 15 minutes of positivity. It's Monday. It's a uh it's a pretty interesting Monday. We've been out of power over here in southern Marin for about 24 hours now, so that always is interesting and a great opportunity, I think, for the theme that I'm choosing for today's session, which is the idea that everything is practice. Um, so no doubt, many of you have been experiencing some discomfort, whether it's power being out or just getting wet, or just frankly, even yesterday was a pretty hairy drive home. I was with a group of colleagues in Calistoga, and driving home in the thick of things at around 6 p.m. So it was dark, and you literally couldn't see trees in the middle of the road, and it was actually pretty dangerous. And we got through it, and I just certainly noticed the process in my mind and how I was dealing with thoughts. So I was just thinking to myself, that's just a great theme, which is everything is practice all the time. So in the spirit of that, here's a quote that I really like, which is, if there is no solution to the problem, then don't waste time worrying about it. If there is a solution to the problem, then take action. Don't waste time worrying about it. So either way, there's no benefit to worrying. So of course that's easier said than done, but I think when things get really out of control, or more obviously out of control out there, it's a great opportunity to practice the skill. And so I thought, let's go ahead and activate this. I would call it a growth mindset, right? The idea is not to be perfect, but the idea is to switch gears, this sort of mental gear, and say, okay, if I'm stressed or if I'm worried right now, is there something that I can do to lean into a different relationship to the situation, rather than just berate myself for being worried again or feeling anxious or whatever that might be. So this sort of a pretty foundational aspect to this mindfulness practice. So let's go ahead and actually start that. And it's 12:03, so we can do a little bit of a longer meditation today. Um, yeah, so let's start by closing our eyes and maybe notice where you're seated, where your body is in space and time, feet in contact with the ground, sitting in a chair, sitting on the floor, maybe putting your hands in your lap or on your thighs. I'm just noticing the simplicity of this act of just sitting, being quiet, and allowing whatever's happening around to just be. And maybe start with noticing sounds and just allowing them to have their life. We can't change them anyway, so we're just noticing. Maybe there's smells, maybe even noticing the absence of smell of anything noticeable. Noticing sight. So even with closed eyes, we can usually see colors flickering. And again, we're just doing a short round through the senses just to notice what's there. Not trying to change anything, just noticing. And then since we're observing our eyes right now, maybe noticing the sensation in your eyes, like to have eyeballs that are maybe flickering or moving, and then noticing taste, maybe moving your tongue about on the inside of your mouth, and then thoughts. And think of thoughts as a kind of sixth sense. Also noticing the similarity to how thoughts just appear, just like sounds, like the flickering in your eyes. It's just happening. And thoughts are just happening. Sometimes they're visual, sometimes they're more auditory. They just appear. Just notice what kind of thoughts are present now. Now, I'd love for you to bring to mind a moment in time, maybe in the past 24 hours during the storm, where there was something uncomfortable happening about this weather. Maybe you got wet and didn't enjoy it. Maybe you lost power and didn't enjoy that experience. Or stuck in traffic, you couldn't see well. See if you can drop back into a memory of something that happened recently that felt a little bit uncomfortable and edgy. And in your memory, just noticing the sights, the sounds, if there were any smells or other sensations, just sort of taking inventory and just observing what was present for you in that moment. And then also adding in what were you thinking in that moment? What was the narrative that was going through your mind in that uncomfortable situation? See if you can just be a witnesser to all of that. Revisit it with a growth mindset and lean into that experience and get curious and notice, how did you respond? What was your mind telling you? What was your body doing? And the goal here is not to do anything different, but is simply to revisit and just be with that memory, with that experience. Be with the wetness, be the coldness, the discomfort, maybe even the fear. And in that sense, every experience is an opportunity to practice. And in this case, to practice this ability to just be with whatever happens, even if it's uncomfortable. Doesn't mean we don't try to get dry, or that we don't try to get out of the rain, or that we don't try to get to a safer place in our car. But it does mean that in that moment, we are fully accepting of what is. And we can do so with a kind of inner calm and equanimity. We can just take notice that, oh, this is what's happening now, and then take action. And usually when we start by simply acknowledging and accepting what is and take action from there, our actions are typically more effective. They certainly feel calmer, more sober, more equanimous. I know in past meditations I've used this term superpower. And in that sense, this kind of mindset of really noticing that anything that happens in our life, even when it's uncomfortable and we don't necessarily enjoy it, is an opportunity to cultivate this capacity of ours to just be with life and live from that place. And it literally is a superpower. When we get better and better at it, life flows a little more easily. Go ahead and take a deep breath in. On the exhale, go ahead and open your eyes. Come on back to the room. I suspect, given the weather, that we'll have lots more opportunities to practice this. So I hope this sort of sets you up for a moment in time, maybe in the next 24 to 48 hours, where if you're in a situation that feels a little uncomfortable because of this weather, maybe this is a bit of a primer to say, okay, let me try this and see if you can just drop into really taking stock of all of your senses and notice what you're thinking about, and just take a moment to see if you can just be with it, just hang out with it, and then go from there. So hope that was a useful practice and relevant. So see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Take care.